What's up, guys? Welcome back to the S3 Mag podcast. Today, or I guess yesterday, Ford just released the brand new 2021 Bronco to the public, or the Bronco family, I should say. So today we're here with Bubba, Jeepin Bubba from Black Bear Off-Road, and we're going to discuss that a little bit.
Hi.
So before we kick this off, www.s3mag.com, the new issue is out. Tons of cool cars in it. If you want to check it out, you can head to our website and see for $20 you get 2 years, a 2-year subscription, plus a free t-shirt. So you're not going to want to miss that. But anyways, let's just jump right into it, short and to the point. Like I said in the intro, Ford released the Bronco. Bubba, or who wants to go over just a little bit of the specs?
I think we'll wait because
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading about it. You know, it's every other post on my timeline, so I can kind of go through it. I guess let's do it like this. Let's talk about what's awesome about the Broncos. That sport model, we ain't talking about that.
Yeah, the sport models.
I mean, nothing against it, but who cares? We're talking about, you know, the 2-door and the 4-door. I mean, I think it's pretty undeniable that Ford knocked it out of the park. I think they hit a lot of the right boxes. They executed it kind of perfectly throughout. I guess I can go through some of that stuff. Immediately off the top of my head is manual transmission with the 2.3 liter. You get an optional 2.7, but only with an automatic. It seems like they absolutely looked at Jeep, obviously, and the Wrangler, and looked at any of the little annoyances that might be in the Wrangler and overcame that. I have a list of them. One thing, obviously the side view mirrors on the cowl or on the A-pillar or wherever they are, so that when you take the doors off, you don't have to take the mirrors off. That's awesome. That's good thinking. It's good innovation that should have honestly happened on the Wrangler already. The doors are frameless, which means you know how the Jeep doors have the metal that goes around the window, so when you take the door off, they're giant and you have to fight with them and find a place to put them. On the Bronco, they're frameless, so it's essentially a half door when you take it off, which is what allows them to put all the doors in the back of the 4-door. What else do they do? I read something that it's like a trap door plug on the door. Very smart. So when you put the door on, I think it automatically, don't quote me on this because we haven't seen it in person, but I think it's kind of like a protection style plug that goes in and automatically plugs it up so your windows will work. Hold on. What else do they do? The fenders I read are quarter turn removable. So it's like a little Zeus clip, like doot doot, and you can pull off your fenders. So if you are going to do some dumb stuff, you don't necessarily have to worry about fenders getting in the way. That's smart. That's going to make Bubba's job easier for replacing fenders at Black Bear. What else? An optional rubber floor. Like, why doesn't that exist on the Wrangler? To be fair, the Wrangler carpet is easy to come out. You don't have to remove the seats, and it's easy to clean. It's not like regular interior carpet with, you know, a bunch of sound deadening and all that kind of stuff. But, like, come on, rubber floor mats would be great. They have that. They have the marine grade vinyl seats. Why don't the Wranglers have some sort of, you know, seat that can get filthy like we just did a couple days ago and then just hose it out? The switches on the dash, I think, are sealed like a boat, like they're rubber and they're sealed. So that the car is meant to get wet. You know, it's meant to be up wet, hosed out. We lost Bubba. I'll keep going. Let me see what else. An optional 12-inch infotainment system. That's freaking killer. And it seems to be pretty sealed off from the elements. No exposed buttons that I can really tell on that. It also has camera assist. So when you're wheeling and you're going up and you can't see over the nose of the car, you know, that's a common problem. That's spotters and whatnot. Those cameras will help you see exactly where, you know, the rock is, or the part that you do want to, you can see your line. That's all awesome. Dude, I forgot the fact that you can order this thing kind of incrementally. It's not like, hey, do you want a Rubicon? It's $8,000 more and it's got what you need and some stuff that you don't care about. Like, you can order this thing kind of with the features that are important to you. They offer that Sasquatch package. You can get it with 35s. You can get it with 470 gears. Now, when you start thinking about the fact that you can get a car with 470 gears and with either the 7-speed manual or the 10-speed auto, you do not need to re-gear. Like, I wish Bubba was here. I think you could realistically run 38s, easily. I mean, you can run 37s all day and that thing's going to be comfortable. Yeah. Back, Bubba.
Can you see me?
Yeah, dude,
So
we see
can.
you.
Okay, I can't see myself, but
I
okay.
was just, I
heard that point. I actually was hearing this point. Here's my little negative on the 38s. Here's what I'm concerned about. The IFS. And I'm not talking about the strength of it. I'm talking about if you put a big tire on, are the A-arms going to allow it to actually run parallel and run proper? Or is it are the A-arms going to be A-arms going to be maxed out?
That Sasquatch has I think they call it HOSS. It's like high speed off-road stability system. I don't know. But apparently, and they're a little vague on this, and I'll get into that because there's some things that I'm like, yeah, wait a second. But like, they say it comes with the 35s. They say it comes with like upgraded suspension. Well, that's a shock. That's the Bilstein shock, probably the same one that you get in the TRD Pros, I'm guessing. Something with a reservoir or whatever, and a little bit more travel. And they say it's got different control arms. So will that allow more drop? If you got bigger tires, I don't know how it's going to play out. Mm-hmm. But I think it's dope that they're going down that road, that you can get a 10-speed with 470 gears from the factory is a monumental convenience, that you can finance that stuff and not have to tear it apart, a new Jeep, and do it.
I did see they're only going to allow the manual in the smaller motor, which is fine. Yeah. It's actually still the same amount of power. Well, I think it's 270 horsepower, so it's within 15 horsepower of the Wrangler. So that's a pretty big deal,
Yeah, that's okay. I'm trying to think of what else.
I wonder why only with the 2.3. That doesn't make much sense to me. Why not just offer it with both?
Well, do they make a manual for the 2.7? Is there any other vehicle running a 2.7 that they would offer a manual in?
No, I mean the 2.7 is the F-150 motor.
Yeah, so no manual.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
but
I know
would
it's
assume
in
the adaptation is the same, or maybe it's not.
Maybe not.
But why not a 5-liter option?
Oh.
I mean, I know the Bubbas want the 5-liter, but you don't need it. I mean, if you want
I'm a 5.0 guy. I love that motor.
I mean, there's probably a lot of stuff we don't need that's coming with this.
Now, one thing
it's also the first year of it too, though. They don't want to, pull a bag of tricks out.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously they're looking straight at the Jeep Wrangler. The Jeep Wrangler, up until the teaser a couple days ago, they don't offer that. It's a 6-cylinder, so they're going toe to toe with that. And honestly, that 2.7 is like a weirdly strong motor. It's gonna have grunt, dude. I think I read it's got like 100 more foot-pounds of torque than the 4-banger in the Wrangler now. So I don't know, man. I think, dude, you got the potential to have really cool turbo noises and some good torque and some good gearing. I mean, the design, I think we can all agree they pretty much help. Dude.
One company that's got to be stretching, like really scratching their heads right now is Toyota, because Jeep's like, okay, we have the people. We're not going to lose all these Jeepers. We have, straight axle, but Toyota has the IFS. It has the same exact stuff basically as the Bronco, but there's a good looking interior. Like, that's going to draw. If you get in the current 4Runner, sorry, that dash is way outdated.
Yeah.
It's just,
well, all right. So here's the thing. And it's kind of, me and
you
Bubba.
Can't take the doors off, and you can't take the top off.
Yes, dude. Like, everybody on social media in the car world is like, oh, RIP Jeep. And I'm like, whoa.
RIP 4Runner.
First of all, that is some some odd and misguided anger. And I don't know why car guys have it out for Jeep so badly anyway. We'll get to that. But like really the RIP is Toyota, because it is your little like, but we're reliable and we've got a culture that ain't working for you anymore, dude. Like, and we have one in my family. We have a TRD Pro 4Runner. We also have a Ford. We also have a Jeep. But yeah, I think Toyota's the one that's, look, I mean, is the Bronco going to take a lot of market share from Jeep? Probably. Yes. Yeah. I think it's going to be the absolute, I'm not trying to be insensitive, but soccer mom type of vehicle. All the the people that are driving 4Runners, it's the perfect blend. It's not quite as much of an inconvenience as a Wrangler, because let's be honest, when you're driving a Wrangler on the road, especially if you lift it and put tires on it, that's a lifestyle, man. It's, it's not an easy car to drive on the road. It's not the most convenient or comfortable. So you're going to have the comfort of the 4Runner with the top down of the Wrangler with the tech and the interior of modern Ford, which is really good. Back to that weird misguided anger. I don't know why
him all day long.
It's the Jeep bros, it's the
car guys have it out for Jeepers. Like, if you don't own a Jeep, you like don't like them. I've seen a lot of people, never own a Jeep. And it's like, bro, why are you gonna hate? Like, can we just acknowledge before you hate on Jeep that Jeep has carried this torch for decades? When Ford abandoned it, imagine that Ford abandoned something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we got to be a little bit like, I don't like all the like, oh man, this is the new Jeep. It's like, whoa. Let's be honest. This Bronco only exists because of Jeep's success, period. Yeah. So you can thank Jeep for that. 100%. Second of all, this does not make a Jeep any less capable and aftermarket friendly than it was a week ago. As a matter of fact, I don't know. I mean, Bubba, you can speak on this. I think that when it comes down to it, the Bronco is going to be the second reigning champ when it comes to off-road. I do not think without a straight axle, and as soon as you say straight axle, everybody's like, no, straight axle. Well, yes, without a straight axle, it, on paper, scientifically, is not going to be able to crawl like a Jeep will. It will be more comfortable on the road. So that's the balance. If you want the comfort on the road, you're just gonna have to suck it up and realize that's probably not gonna be as capable. Could it with mods? Yes. In the aftermarket, anything's possible, I guess. Yeah. But anyway, what do you think about that? Since you're
sure. So if you have a Jeep and you want to put it on 40s and you own a Rubicon, you can do it. If you buy the Bronco, you're going to have to straight axle swap. That's going to cost a lot of money. That's going to be a pain. Yeah. That's going to be, but yeah, the Bronco's going to win on the road. It's going to win in the sand, actually. So if you live near dunes, the Bronco's going to be better. IFS is just fantastic in whoops and sand, so it's going to beat it there. But in the rocks, it's going to break. It's going to get destroyed. You're not going to be able to run the big tires that you want to run.
What do you think? I've heard a lot of talk about it having like a long travel suspension, sort of like a trophy truck. What do you think about that?
Sure. Well, even in trophy truck world and in the Ultra 4 racing where IFS is becoming more prevalent, it's still controversial. It's still, with the biggest A-arms you can put out there, it's still limited at how far it can travel. Although I did see they are offering on the Bronco a quick way to just rip the fenders off. Like, you can pull the grill, the fenders.
Everything looks modular. Like you
can just rip off. So you're going to have the room for it, but can the A-arms extend far enough for it to be functional? Like, in an actual crawl situation where you need the articulation? I don't think so. But that'll be something to see. I do say they definitely pulled a playbook out of Jeep's own back pocket, because Chrysler was a failing company and the Jeep pretty much, I would say, saved it.
Yeah.
Second quarter for Ford, $5 billion loss they're about to report, and they released the Bronco.
Yep.
It's a good play.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing.
Long overdue.
Yeah. I've been hearing about it for 7 years. What do you think about the Bronco? Let's see it at the car dealership. And they're still not going to bring it to the dealership till 2021 spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think though that we're about to hit a really cool time in the off-road, 4x4 adventure, overland, whatever you want to call it, whatever the buzzwords are, right? Like it's about to get good because we've been messing with it. But yeah, you have the Jeep. Aside from the Jeep, you had SUVs, like a 4Runner or whatever. But they're all kind of just the boxes, with the wheels. But like, I really think now there's going to be this mental divide where like, yo, it ain't a 4x4 unless the top and the doors come off. Period. I don't want your Nancy Pantsy little, SUV crossover thing. Like, I think that's going to be the new line. You know what I mean? Like, I think Toyota's going to have to bring it. I think they're going to have to bring back an FJ or something where it becomes more modular, where the top comes off, where you're giving the people what they want. I do think Ford killed it. Like, this is the most exciting news that we've gotten in the automotive world. You could argue the Cybertruck, but there's a lot of people out there that the general public aren't ready for electric yet. This killed it. This got everybody's attention. Beautiful. Like it really, they killed it enough to where, I think it's gonna absolutely be like a mark, like the Mustang was in the 60s. You know what I mean? I think it's gonna be like, and then Ford back the Bronco, and the game changed and everything got real fun like it was in the late 80s, and it's going to be bright colors and the roof's coming off, and it's going to be a good time. We're in for a good time.
I'm seeing a lot of people who weren't interested in off-road or who aren't really car people at all get hype about this, and I think that says more than anything.
That's good for my business.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is going to be good for your business because it's not just Jeep anymore and some Toyotas. Like, I think it's coming. And I think, it's like Jesse was saying, I think they like laser focused in on that exact genre of person. The person that's a car enthusiast that's like, I'm not a Jeep guy though. They don't really know why they're not a Jeep guy. I used to be that guy. I was like, I want a Jeep, but I'm not a Jeep guy. And then I was like, yes, I am a Jeep guy, actually. But like, I think that they've really hit that, man. They've really taken a lot of guys that were kind of on the fence. Should I get a Tacoma? Nope, Bronco. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's on now.
So we when there was a leaked photo a few months ago, we actually talked about it in a podcast. And I remember thinking, being skeptical, of course, like Bronco, like Ford's coming into the off-road section, like a little late to the game when you put it up against Jeep. And I was thinking, if they don't knock it out the park, first go around, are they going to back out like they did with the ST platform because it's not getting enough attention? But when I'm looking at all of these little things on there, it's like they listened to all of the Jeep people and all of their complaints, all of the little things that they wanted, and they're like, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. I mean, everything from, like, when I got my Jeep, one of the first things I got was the handle so that I can get in my Jeep. And that comes into the Bronco. When you're overlanding, you want to be able to mount your GPS or your phone or, whatever else. It has that bar on the dash. So like little things like that go such a long way.
But does it look too much like the Jeep?
It does.
I don't think it looks like a
Jeep. If you look at the front grille, it looks like the old Bronco.
Absolutely.
In the hood and the sides. But if you look at it with the top off from the back, I can't tell the difference. It's the exact same shape of the JL, and the taillights look identical.
They did copy. I noticed they copied the side swing door. They copied the little, like I feel like there's a couple things that maybe they could have done differently.
So for Jeep people were like, that's our stuff. They stole it and they just kind of tweaked it, and now they're making fun of us with what they made better and whatever, man. I don't even want mirrors.
That's what.
Well, the cool thing about the Jeep guys that you guys should be really excited about is this is probably going to make the future Jeeps better. They're going to see this stuff. They're going to address it. And the thing is, like, Jeep has kind of just owned this whole market segment by default for so many years now. Nobody's really pushed them to really step it up and do better and change things. I mean, they've been running the same setup for a pretty long time now. So this is going to, hopefully light a fire under their ass and get them moving and hopefully bring some more competition in the segment too.
And I do applaud Jeep for keeping it so true for so long. I know some Jeepers will say that, but overall, like, we can all agree that the Jeep has stayed pretty true. to what it's supposed to be. But I do think that the JK could have, or I'm sorry, the JL, the current one, could have been a little more. It got a substantial transmission upgrade. Other than that, I have no reason to really want to sell my JK for it. I feel like maybe Jeep got a little lazy. The prices kept going up, but because they controlled the market, they kind of said, oh, well, you don't get this axle with this model, or you don't get this with this, little things like we're talking about, like the mirrors on the freaking car. Like there's little innovations that aren't necessarily tech, just smart innovations in the lineage of Jeep that should have maybe been happening, that they might gotten a little slack on while raising the price every year. And this is going to put them in check, man. Like I do think if you're a Jeep guy, you shouldn't feel so defensive and threatened. I mean, look, the more the merrier. Like, I don't care what you're in. I want you guys to come out. I want to be playing off-road. I want to share good times. Like, I don't care what it is. I ain't going to hate you because you bought a Bronco. Like, congratulations. That thing's sick. But I think if you're a Jeep guy, you should be a little appreciative of Ford coming in and giving them some competition, because competition makes everybody better.
Yep.
And it brings
this could end up being a lot like what happened with American Muscle just a couple of years ago.
Yes, I was about to.
They decide to go retro, then they decide to put more power in the motors, and all of a sudden, boom, Dodge is, crapping out 700 horsepower everything, and everybody else is trying to keep up.
Which is why it's kind of disappointing to see the Jeep kind of like enthusiasts backing behind it, to see that kind of like go down, to not see them put as much into it when the JL come out, because everything else they're doing, like I say about the Challenger all the time, like it was totally unnecessary to keep making it faster and to keep making it, more badass. Like I wouldn't expect that from like the Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep area. So it's good to see that fire lit underneath.
Yeah, man. I guess, I don't know, man. Time will tell, right?
I want to see one, like in front of me at the dealership.
Yeah.
Because, I was so pumped when they made the Gladiator, and then I saw it at the dealership, and I was like, they messed that thing up. That's bad. It's so ugly. No, it looks great lifted, but I'm like, what happened here?
Yeah.
I do think a funny note, like a hilarious note, the Bronco basically got killed by O.J. Simpson. So you go back and look at the history, OJ's on TV, the whole nation watches, and they, in a 94 Bronco, they kill it in 96. They were set to release it on July 9th. They didn't, because they realized that was OJ Simpson's birthday. What are the odds? I don't know. I think OJ needs to be in the commercial. I think that would do it for me.
I think they need to make the Juice is Loose version of the Bronco.
Yeah. Scratch the Sasquatch. I want the Juice edition.
It obviously has to.
So Bubba, I know Black Bear was thinking about getting a JL. Are you scratching that and going with a Bronco maybe?
Listen, me and Willie talked about this, but Bronco Bubba sounds like a X-rated movie character. It's Jeepin Bubba. Jeepin Bubba is going to stay
Bronco Bubba on Brokeback Mountain.
I did buy the website this week, broncobubba.net.com, and some others, .org, edu. But no, it's going to stay Jeepin Bubba in our household. In fact, I'm talking to the Jeep dealerships this week about a JLU.
Sweet.
Okay.
Which, a little insight, not to throw anything on the Bronco, but because the factories have been closed in Michigan, there's a shortage of Jeeps right now. So while the entire car market is struggling to sell, Jeep is actually doing really good. They've actually created a supply and demand issue currently at their dealerships.
My concern, I guess kind of in closing, my concern with the Bronco, or my concern in general, because of social media and the way people hype and market and hype stuff, there's going to be obviously a lull. You got everybody super excited, and then there's this lull period, and it's like, bring it. Also, you got everybody excited with the Razzmatazz video. Like, I went back and really looked at that. There's a little bit of deception in that video. Yeah. They were boasting best in class, this and that over Wrangler is essentially what they were saying. The numbers aren't necessarily fair. If you put a Bronco on 35s, you create more ground clearance. You know what I mean? Like they're comparing best to non-existent. You know what I mean? Like, so a set of tires is obviously going to change your approach angle, your breakover angle, your departure angle. It's going to lift the vehicle and give you more ground clearance. So they're boasting a lot of best in class that I think can be attributed to the 35s in that alone. So there's a little bit of, I was watching the video. There's one that specifically kind of caught my attention where it's like bouncing down this rocky mountain thing and behind it is all rocks. And if you look at it, they just backed up the rocky thing 30 feet and then drove down it. They were not doing, you know what I mean? There's a lot of deception in there.
They were also going uphill.
I couldn't help but think of that Super Bowl commercial with the JL to where you just watch the thing come around the corner, through the river, up the freaking boulders and gone. No camera trickery. It just happened. It is what it is. Ford, we know from SEMA, is all about the glitz and the glam, man. They're all about putting on the big show. And I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just waiting to make sure that it's there, like they say it's going to be there. Like Bubba said, I think that this thing will be very good. I mean, I think it's a legitimate 4x4. But I don't know if it's going
The overland market is going to explode with this thing.
Yeah.
Overlanders don't look at Jeeps as an option. It's because it's like the rock crawler's vehicle. The 4Runner is the choice most people go with. Some people have been going with full-size trucks. This Bronco is going to take over the overland market because it's better looking than the 4Runner. It's going to have more features. 35-inch tires is ridiculous. Lockers. The interior is phenomenal. It's going to blow up the overland scene. Rock crawlers will not buy a Bronco. It's just not going to happen.
I did see, talking about that video, they were boasting the IFS over the straight axle. They were like, these are the benefits of the independent front suspension.
Oh, you see them dropping that. King of Hammers.
Huge...
King of Hammers. You guys like that, right? This is like King of Hammers. It's like, come on, man. Like,
it's a huge argument right now in the King of Hammers world and Ultra 4 racing because basically in Ultra 4 and in King of Hammers, you run through a desert at 100 miles an hour. The straight axle is terrible in that. But then they get to a section where they have to do rocks, and a lot of guys are having breakages. So it is kind of deceptive, like Woolie's saying. I will say a few kudos to Ford. I did see they're going to build it in Michigan, so I don't know how many of the parts are going to be American-made, but the Sport's getting made in Mexico. So Jeep's been made in Toledo since like 43, so that's a big, big plus. And they said they're going to have 200 parts to put on it, like aftermarket components they've already made and come up with. So they're going to beat all of the aftermarket companies to market, which Jeep actually did the same exact thing with the Mopar lift and winch plates and things like that.
Yeah. One thing that I saw that was kind of funny in that video as well was, they marketed that you can pack the doors inside of the Bronco. And I saw people on Facebook, they're like, yeah, but if you look at the photos, you can't have the top on it and pack the doors at the same time. So what is the good of putting the doors back on if you still have nothing to cover? Because really the only reason you'd want to put the doors back on in a pinch is if it was like raining or something like that. So
that kind of just fell flat with me too, because I'm like, who cares? I don't want to carry my damn doors around in the back of my car.
I don't want to hit the throttle and hear all of them move back.
And just hear the sound of scratches.
When the Ford Wrangler came out, everyone said it was overweight, and people were getting on the trails, and they were like, this thing is a cow. And people took the top and the doors off and realized how much better of an off-roader it was without that weight. So, like, a lot of Jeep guys are going, we don't want the doors. There's a reason we leave them at home, even if it does rain.
Yeah, I pretty much leave them off all summer. I mean, as a JK owner, I take the doors off, and as long as you have a top, you're fine, dude. Like, I mean, I've been in pretty strong, me and Hunter have been in pretty strong storms, like with the top on, no doors, and you're fine. I mean, it's part
of the 37s. You get a little wet in corners, but for the most part, you're okay.
So I don't know. I don't want it to sound like because as a Jeep guy, I do have some loyalty to defend Jeep when I see people saying stuff like "RIP Jeep," but I'm trying not to go down that road and get drugged into the mud with that, mentality. But I am like super pumped for this thing.
You think they're going to bring the FJ back? You think they're going to
bring the
reinvent
FJ
it?
back? Please bring the FJ back.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that Toyota, and this is hard for me to say, was better in its prime than Jeep was in the early days. Like the old FJ, the BJ diesels were better than CJs. They just were. I hope the FJ comes back, but not like it did last time. That was
disappointing.
Don't listen to
I
Wooly.
wonder-
That was a piece of crap.
Why? But
I kind of agree with you. Yeah.
if Ford has,
I mean, they look cool, but go ahead.
If Ford has hit all these marks on the Bronco, right? Why would they not give it a straight axle?
Because it's not like
the ride quality, probably.
Yeah. It's kind of almost like Jeep's grandfathered in with that. Like it's always been that way.
Straight axle causes gas mileage issues, like huge ones. It's a lot more weight, and you have rotating components that don't rotate in an IFS. So they probably were trying to fight that.
I mean, it's a better car with the.
Do you think they're aiming for the overland market?
Absolutely.
They're going after the Jeep market, but yeah, they're gonna, without realizing, probably go kill the overland market. I think what would be even crazier is, could Jeep come out with a Wrangler that has an IFS option?
That would be interesting.
Go home.
It would be sacrilegious, but isn't there?
On the other hand of that, when Jeep people buy a Jeep that's not straight axle.
Okay, then should Jeep make a sport version?
I mean, they have the Renegade.
That's not a Jeep.
Yeah, what?
That's a Fiat 500.
That's not a delivery.
I don't know what Jeep does. I think Jeep just, says, "Look, this was inevitable. Like we're gonna
put a V8 in it. That's what we've done with everything at Chrysler. We're gonna make more horsepower than you, and then that's what we're gonna brag about."
Yeah.
Then they're gonna put the Hellcat motor in it, and someone's gonna die.
I will volunteer for that death.
Someone's pile drive.
Well, cool. I don't know. I think big picture, this is awesome news for everybody. This is pretty significant to automotive design and direction, I think. I think it woke up a lot of auto manufacturers like that and go, man, we have been making some really boring shit that all looks the same. And man, let's get to work. So I think
that Pathfinder back in that kind of attitude,
Right? I mean, they have just drugged the Pathfinder name through pig crap.
Yeah,
Suzuki, bring a samurai back.
Let's go.
See, that's what I'm buying.
Still around,
man.
They make motorcycles. They can build a samurai.
It's funny. We just sold. My family inherited a 2013 Pathfinder from my grandparents, and I just had to clean it up and sell it. And while I was driving it, I would think, because I had just the day before been in Wooly's Pathfinder, and I'm like, man, how much we have lost that heritage, or at least Nissan anyways. And up until the Bronco, pretty much every other brand had lost that, just analog off-road mentality. And Wooly's touched on this before. You're not finding paths in a modern Pathfinder. It's just not what it is. It's the same thing that Chevy did. The same thing Chevy did with the Blazer.
I don't think Chevy's going to do anything with that Blazer, but who should make an overland vehicle that would just destroy the market? That's Subaru. They need to step up and make their version of the Bronco. That would be... Because Subaru's attitude matches every attitude of the overland community.
Yeah.
They like cabbage and goats and knives and
what?
Weird soy coffee.
Yeah. No, you're right. The Subaru people would eat it up, and it wouldn't even have to be good.
No.
It could it could look like an egg.
Don't vape in the wilderness.
It has all-wheel drive and a boxer motor. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Do you think a bigger Jeep size
head gaskets for everybody
handle a boxer?
What?
Coulda.
Do you think a Jeep-sized vehicle could handle a boxer, though?
I don't think a Subaru can handle a boxer. I don't. It doesn't seem to ever go well for them. I don't know. I don't know where the loyalty comes.
You can always take it apart and add to it.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I'm thinking about the new Bronco and a 2-door with a little 2.3 manual, just for a toy, except that's going to be an expensive toy. But dang, that would be fun. Like, I am so drawn to that 2-door. Like, I just think that proportionately nailed it. Like, it's so good. The 4-door is obviously going to be the one that fits into most families. And see, again, that's why I think this thing's going to be so successful, because you'll be able to drive this thing on trails. Most trails, dude, the kind of, you know what I mean? Like
90% of America.
Oh, yeah. And have a great weekend with your family up in the mountains, whatever region you live in. At the beach, they're going to be great beach cruises. Then you drive it to work on Monday morning, and it really will do that. It will commute well, and it will do trails well. You just won't be able to do the weird
1%
shit that you see the Jeep guys doing. But honestly, who cares? You know what I mean? Like,
it would do Beasley. It would do the majority of most places. It's just like even Moab. It would crush Moab. Like the Rubicon and just a few other rock crawl places that most Jeepers don't even see is where it won't do good. So I'm excited that Jeep threatened not to make a removable top. They threatened not to make removable doors. They talked about going to IFS while they were making the JL. So we were like on the fence because they thought that America's standards of safety were too hard to make a convertible vehicle of that size. They did it, and now Ford's able to do it. Let's just see everyone else work within those parameters. Yeah, and then let's make Jeep obscure again. Let's make Jeep nerds like the guys that owned YJs back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
That's what Jeep should do, is create another, not a sport or whatever you're talking about, but an absolute minimalist, raw version of something.
A 2-door JL with the same length as the 4-door.
That would be sick. I could get
the LJ of the JL world. Or a 2-door Gladiator.
Another thing that I saw is they're trying to build up the same kind of community behind a Bronco that Jeep already has. So they're setting up like 4 locations across the country where you can do like off-road training or like an off-road school. And they're also like developing a social network for Bronco owners past and future.
Well, Ford has always done that. They did the same thing with ST.
I know, and that's that kind of stuff that, that drives me crazy about Ford, is you're not going to make up for 5 decades in 2 years. Right. And that's what Ford, it literally is like Ford versus Ferrari. It's like the suits. It's like that scene where he's like, those guys, so like, I'm really excited that they got through all of the hoops and built this car. Now, they do not deserve Jeep loyalty because they brought back the Bronco. Like, there has to be an earning. You have to let the culture happen. You can't just force it and then go in front of your board meeting in a couple of years and be like, well, should we make a second model or just scratch it? You know what I mean? Like that's the typical Ford move. And I don't do that, Ford.
The difference is, I think that, at least just from the reaction, I think that the sales numbers for this Bronco are going to be so vastly different from what happened with the ST stuff that they're going to say, why didn't we make this a decade ago?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing, is it might give them some leash. You know what I mean? Like now it's going to, because I think that the team that was behind this has obviously just been proven right out of the gate. So like, I think maybe they'll give these guys a little bit more leash now.
I mean, what's actually happened with the Explorer? Like my mom was looking the other day for an SUV, and I was like, okay, well, there's the RAV4, and then Hyundai's got their new stuff. Did you look at Ford? She's like, they don't even make an SUV, so like they might capture back their own SUV market now. Like
that's
the people
what I mean.
Who used to buy Explorers. Just don't put Firestones on these, please.
All right.
Did you see the dope little like porthole half doors that you can get from the factory?
The same ones that Jeep had at SEMA a couple years back.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a side-by-side image on Google Images now. Yeah, it's a complete copy. But yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, Jeep did a concept with that same exact porthole door. But the difference is if Ford offers it, Jeep doesn't. So they win again.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that about sums. Anybody else got any last-minute points they want to throw in there?
Nope.
I think we're all good. Well, all right, guys, that's our initial thoughts of the Bronco. At the end of the day, we are really excited to see some, true automotive competition in the 21st century. We haven't seen that in a long time, and it's nice for a brand to release a vehicle that we are excited about as enthusiasts. For one, I mean, it's not a sports car, but it's still something that has enthusiast hearts in mind.
Yeah. How did the Bronco get so much more attention from the car community than the Supra, or at least more positive attention? That's the thing.
Because it was what people asked for.
It's exactly what
had
wanted.
flaws.
That's the thing.
The Supra's ugly. So.
That's what I'm saying. Manufacturers have not been making what people want, man. It's always a compromise. It's always too expensive and too automated, and we don't want that crap. And Ford listened this time, and that's what's awesome about it. And as a magazine, like as S3, we've been on this 4x4 thing since before most obvious. I mean, all right, let me explain. There's obviously a trend in the performance car world to be going overland or to be going off-road. We were on that trend before it was really a trend, and it was actually a little scary. Should we be touching this? Should we be doing this? But it was what we were, we were afraid we were going to get backlash, but it was what we were into. And so that's what S3 does. We do what we're into. And now I feel like here it comes. You know what I mean? Like now that the Bronco's out and that car enthusiasts across the board are really loving this thing, I think it's about to be a pretty cool time. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a time of people driving new rad 4x4s and old Japanese and Euro tuner cars, because the new tuner cars, they're either too expensive or they're too ugly, or you can't touch them because they turn on all their lights. It's just like, so anyway, I don't know. I think it's an exciting time to be like where we are with the magazine right now, with like the car community that grew up racing cars out and having fun with our imports, are now at the age where like this Bronco and the Jeeps and the Toyotas, they all make a lot of sense for us as our quote, new car that we can go play with on the weekends while keeping our old tuners.
Yeah, and I have a hope that because America or the world is so hyped in general over this Bronco, that might in turn fall into them listening to us, in sports cars. I mean, maybe not, but I have a hope. Maybe Ford will acknowledge that we got excited over this and be like, hey, maybe they're asking for, a manual GT500. Let's give it to them.
We should pay attention. Yeah.
Yeah. So please,
hold on to that.
If you're thinking
hold on to that little hope here.
I'm sure you guys saw the new release of the new F-150 and got excited about that. Yeah.
I'm like, so the seat lays down.
That was last week,
and you put a Ford Fusion grill on it. Okay.
Yeah.
But see, I mean, I don't know.
It didn't bother me. It's just another Ford truck.
Just another
it's just an old man truck they drive to church, but now they got the Bronco. That's rad.
It was like Bubba was saying the other day, it's going to be another F-150. Everybody puts Georgia, University of Georgia, license plates on the front of them and goes to church. He's like, I'm convinced all they do is take their F-150s to church, and then they actually work out of their Chevys.
They work out of their Dodges and Chevys, and then they take their F-150s to church. They're like, Mark Rick drove one, Kirby Smart drove one. Yeah.
It's funny that you say that.
They're going to wheel an old YJ, and they're going to drive their Bronco to church.
Yeah.
Dude, it is so funny that you say that. My neighbor, I've got this old man neighbor, and his work truck is a first-gen Honda Ridgeline, and his weekend truck is a brand new 5.0 F-150. I kid you not, candy apple red. But yeah, so guys, in the comments, let us know what you think. Send us DMs on Instagram, messages on Facebook. What do you think about the Bronco? Are you excited? Are you as excited as we are? What do you hope to see out of Ford or just automotive companies in general in the future? We're curious about all your responses. Thanks again to Jeepin Bubba from Black Bear Off-Road to join us once again and throw in a little some points that he had on it. But other than that, guys, we will see you next time. Peace out.